Hi everybody, welcome back to the Desmo Works channel, and it's a cold but slightly warmer day than it's been in this last week, so a bit slow to getting back into the garage, but as promised, more content to be coming in 2024, and first one of those being the 1199. I've got one job that I think I shared in one of my update videos. I've bought an auto blipper to fit to the bike to ease downshifts when I'm doing track days, and the plan is to get back to doing track days with the 1199. So today's video is going to be following me through putting a auto blipper onto the bike, which is a modification, aftermarket modification I should say, to the electrics for this bike. So let me take you over to the workshop table and talk you through what we've got to do that. Okay, so I've got a Bike Sports Development Blip box. I did open it when I first got it, so it's not an unboxing video this one, but let's just take you through what comes with that. So we have some installation instructions. Then we've got the sensor for the gear lever. The actual blip box itself. A loom, and then some fitting parts, so shift rod, some studs to enable that to be able to fit it, a couple of sticky bits, a rose joint and a tie wrap. So BSD do still make these, but I don't think they hold a stock anymore. Certainly when I ordered mine, I had to wait for a little while for them to program the blip box and get it out to me, but by all accounts from other users of this equipment, it's a really good piece of kit. I've just realised from the receipt though, I bought it nearly 2 years ago, so fingers crossed it works. Otherwise I've just wasted a lot of money on a box that does nothing for me. Right, okay, so what do we need to do to the bike? Let's just have a quick look at that first. So I'm going to have to take some panels off to get access to putting the blip box onto the bike. So I'm going to be taking this side panel off. I'm going to take the nose fairing off for ease of access. And then we're going to be taking off the top side panel on the left hand side as well. And then lastly, I'm going to be working in and around the gear change lever. So you can see I've got standard rear sets at the moment. I will be getting some aftermarket ones to fit as a later project, but we're going to have to take out this standard Ducati shift rod to put in the bike sport components pieces. We'll be retaining the gear shift lever and the shift arm that goes into the gearbox. Okay, let's start taking these bits and pieces off. So most of the fairing panels are held on with these little Allen headed screws, which I think, if I remember rightly, is a size 3 hex key. So we've got, let's have a look, see if I can show you them. We've got one inside the fairing panel here that needs to come off. We've got 3 going along the bottom of the fairing panel. Then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 along the top of the fairing panel. And very difficult to make out, but there's one just in here as well that needs to come out, as well as just loosening this here. That will enable us to get that panel off, so let's do that. So I was correct, it was a size 3 hex that's needed. I don't have a socket size 3, I've just got an Allen key that does that. So old-fashioned way, no fancy sockets. Okay, fairing panel off. Just be careful of the hooks that are in the panel, that you don't break those off. So you need to sort of lift it away and then pull it forward a little bit. That's one panel off. Reason behind this is the blip box is going to sit roughly about here on the ECU on this side of the bike, so blip box located on the right hand side of the bike. Let's just go and get the left hand panel off now. And that top fixing is a plastic rivet. You just need to lever out the center rivet with a flat bladed screwdriver to get that out. And then remember, just pull it forward. Next side panel off. And our need for taking this panel off is to get access to the wiring routing that will be going all up around this left side. Okay, you'll see that as we start putting that together. Okay, next bit we need to do to get top fairing off. I'm just going to remove the key surround plastics so that I can remove these little side strakes, and then I'll be removing the mirror blanks. If you've got a road bike, this would be obviously where the mirrors are. And then underneath I've got to take a bolt out just here, and then there's two more plastic pegs each side so I can take this bit of nose cone plastic away. And then once that's all unclipped on each side, there'll be two bolts just inside here that hold the fairing onto the headlamp holder. I'll show that in more detail when I've got all the plastics off. Okay, so let's make a start on this. Just need to push that back as it sits on the bike like that. You've got little clips, so push it back to release. The final two bolts I was speaking about is one here, and it would be similar on the other side, so just down there as well. This bolt's a little bit challenging because you've got the loom in the way on this side, and also just before we pull it out, I'm going to need just to cut away this tie wrap so that I can free up the fairing to take it off. So let me just grab a set of snips and do that. Problem I had just then, you'll notice I was struggling to get this in the cold. I was struggling to get this to unclip, so I just had to break the Velcro, but it's a really tough Velcro. All of the fairings are off. That just enables me to have a little bit easier access. You can, by all accounts, looking at the instructions, not take this apart. I've just done it because it will be easier for filming to show you where I'm making connections into the loom, and also to show the routing easier. The other bit that's tough about, particularly in this cold weather, getting the front fairing on, as you'll notice it joins into here, and that's sort of stuck through a little bit, so I need just to resolve that as well. Okay, let's go get the blipper. Okay, before I just go and proceed and put in the blip box onto the bike, one of the other bits it's advised is the loom is going to actually run underneath the front of the fuel tank, so I just need to undo these bolts that hold the fuel tank to the ignition switch, so I can just lift that back to give myself a bit of clearance. So I'm just going to quickly undo these, and then there's one here and one on the other side. I'll just undo those so that the fuel tank's loose. I'm not going to bother filming that though. So I'm going to start mounting some components. First thing we're going to do is put the blip box control box on top of the ECU. So I just need to unclip this, he says. There we go. Just so I can get a tie wrap round it. will just enable me to do that. So Blip box has got a couple of little bits of foam that I'm just going to stick on the back, and then the tie wrap. So the tie wrap we need to just shove round the ECU, and then we'll just pop that back in place like so. It doesn't give instructions where to put the foam, so I'm going to put one piece there and another piece right at the very back, and just see how that's going to fit. Actually, I might just put it there instead. It doesn't fit. Right, in a second. Let me get another tie wrap. Back in a second. Second tie wrap, so hopefully I can just extend the tie wrap to give me a better securing position. So we'll stick that in there. Just try and balance this the best way possible. Right, that's pretty tight. So we'll just stick the retaining clip for the ECU back in. I can work it out there. Just there we go. Put that back in. Do that back up. Trying to okay, so that's the Blip box secured. Just tidy up those tie wraps. Now the loom secures on the back face there. Then we have to get the throttle connector off here. This goes to the loom for the throttle, this goes to the throttle itself. Let's just move the camera so you got a better view. So I'm just going to pull the wire in there, and you can see, oh, or not, as the case may be. I'll just loop that up there. Be careful not to disrupt anything else in the loop. Just put that there. Bring the loom, the throttle, just position that in there like so. So it's roughly in the same place. Just looking at the way the loom goes, might just redo that set of tie wraps. Just position that loom in there. Let me just tidy that up off camera. Okay, I've now got the loom going underneath the tie wraps. I was able just to slide it all out and just push it in. Now I'm going to feed the rest of the loom up this way. And I am not going to go underneath the tank. I am going to use the ignition switch route and keep it underneath that instead, because I think I can go underneath that without compromising anything. So I'm going to route the cable behind here, and where that piece goes on for the key protector, so hopefully I don't have to worry about the loom getting pinched underneath the tank, because in the detailed instructions it routes it this way, in the quick guide it says to go under the tank. So I'm just going to see if I can just leave it this way at all. Might even, looking at it, be able to go actually underneath the ignition bracket, looking at the amount of space that I've got there. So I might just undo this bracket and put it under there. Let me just have a look if I can do that. Okay, so what I've been able to do, if I just do it again, lifted the tank up and it's going behind the ignition, so that will tighten up in a second. Then it's coming out here. This is the power connection, and that's going to go along the main loom to connect in on the GPS connector. Then the other part of the loom is split and it's free. Tank's not pinching it. It's gone in a little square hole there, and that's going to route around the top of the regulator rectifier to connect up with the quick shifter and bits and pieces there. So let me just secure the tank back in now that the wiring's in place and make sure that I can do that without pinching the wiring. Okay, that's the tank and the seat pad reconnected back up. Wiring is still free to move. A little bit of resistance, but it's certainly not pinched or trapped. So that's good. And the blip box is secured in. Right, so we've got the wire that's coming down for the power. Now you'll see it's got two connections. This one's going to go straight into the spare CAN bus connection for the loom to get the power for the blip box. This is the connection through to your GPS unit if you're using a GPS unit. Now the bit of the loom that we're connecting on the left hand side, the part of the loom that we need to connect to can be found on this left hand side. And you'll see that there is, if you don't have a GPS unit fitted, it'll either be where the GPS unit is plugged into, or you'll have this spare with a blank piece on there. Be able to disconnect that and connect that in when you're ready. I'm going to leave that to last because I don't want any power going through until I've fully connected up. What you'll also notice is we've got the wire that came in over the top of the regulator rectifier. That's going to go around here for connection to the sensor. What I need to do now is I'm going to unbolt the sensor, the existing one. The electrical connection goes up just behind here. You can just see that where I've just pulled it through. We'll disconnect that. Disconnect the bottom of the gear shift linkage, and then we'll be able to take that whole sensing rod out, and we're going to replace it with the one from the blip box from BSD. Just going to take these 3 bolts out, just loosen that back. Because what I'll do is I'll just take it off here now. Now I just need to undo the gear link lever so I can pull the whole assembly out. Sorry, didn't realise I didn't have the camera on when I just undone that. Ooh. So I'm hoping now I can just feed that through. And that's the gear shift linkage off. Original Panigale linkage, not needed anymore. So we'll put that to one side. Anybody wants one, let me know. You can have it for a few quid. Got the shift rod, sensor, rose joint for the top end. Okay, so this rose joint is going to go into here. Then we've got this little spacer piece. then the main rod. And then we'll attach it all to there. Now what I'm going to do is just roughly work out the positioning so that I can get this set up to roughly the same length as it was before. I'm about 5mm out. So this is the shift rod made up to the same length as was beforehand. What I'm going to do now off camera is I'm just going to take this all apart, and I'm going to be putting a little dab of Loctite in where the threads are, just to ensure that that stays rigidly together. Then I'm going to tighten everything. Now the important piece is that you use the flats on the sensor so that you don't over twist it when you're locking it, otherwise you could do it damage. So let's just go ahead and get that all done off camera. Sorry guys, didn't press record properly, so just to let you know what you just missed off camera, all I've done is I've put the linkage back in that we just built up, which is just a reversal of the removal process. So I fed the shift sensor through the back of the support for the swing arm off the engine, and then fed the shift rod through with the actual gear shift sensor on it, reconnected up my gear linkage, so it's all good. Everything thread wise has got Loctite in it, so it's good. That's tightened up. Lock nut there is tightened up now. Thread lock on the bolt that goes into the gear change, and I haven't touched that one, that's nice and tight still, so I've left that. All I'm going to do now is work out how to route this cabling up, because it needs to come in the back here. So what I'm going to do, I'll just do that off camera because it's going to be a little bit of faffing around and I'm not sure I can get really great filming angles on it. So let me come back to you when I've done that and I'll explain what I've done. Okay, so all I did was loosen off that bolt. That enables me to pull these plastics forward a little bit. I was able to then push the box up from the back of the electrical supports, bring it in through the gap that sits here. You can see I've positioned the amplifier there now, okay, and then the cabling is just looped round, and obviously it's being fed there and it's up in the top of the bike. So all I need to do is I just need to make the final power connection, just put a few tie wraps in to hold it all in place, and then start getting the bodywork back on. So let's do that. Sorry, camera welched out of me again. So I've just put on the fairing, and was just in the process of fitting the black underpiece there when I was going to move the camera and noticed it wasn't working. Last panel to go on. I'll film this one from the other side and I'll make sure the camera is on. Okay, that's that panel back on. Okay, there we go. That's a Bike Sport Development Blip box fitted to the 1199. Obviously I can't test it at the moment. It's freezing out there and it's not a road legal bike. And you need it above 4,500 RPM to be downshifting with the Blip box. So that's automated clutchless downshifting. So when I get it out on track, I'll make sure to do a little update on how the system works. But you can see it's a relatively straightforward job to do. It's just a case of removing panels and then firing the white connectors to wire into. And the instruction sheet was pretty good. My understanding though is that Bike Sport Developments won't be selling these Blip boxes anymore. I mean, they might do if you reach out to them, but I understand from the website that they're ceasing production of them. So, bit of a shame if you've got an 1199 or an 899, or you know, I think one of the early 959s without Blip box fitted. So, not too bad a job. So, hope you enjoyed that video, and it's good to be back doing more regular content. Please like, share, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Just helps grow the channel and increase visibility for people. And any questions or comments, stick them down below. And now that this is done, get it off the bench, and there's a new project coming. So, see you in the next video. Cheers then, bye.